Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Now arriving, number 14, Alonzo Trier. The 6'5", 23-year-old shooting guard out of Arizona is entering his second year in the NBA. His career averages are 10.9 points per game, 3.1 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. He's shooting 45% from the field, 40% from deep, and 80% from the line. This season, he has to work on his catch and shoot, his defensive consistency, and his overall offensive awareness.
ISO Zoe is trying to undergo a bit of a rebrand, according to the Knicks. Though we only really call him that because of his own Twitter handle, so I'm not sure who to blame here. Last year, Alonzo Trier broke onto the scene as an undrafted rookie, forcing the Knicks to hand him a contract, locking him in for this season and last season. Zoe is dynamic off the bench, providing that scoring punch, but often it felt like he was playing his own game. Zoe's a unique player. At times, his demeanor may give off the impression that he's overly selfish and arrogant, and truthfully, Zoe does play with a chip on his shoulder. But unlike other chuckers, not even sure you can call Zoe that, Zoe's incredibly efficient. The one issue with Zoe's efficiency is that it almost feels calculated at times. It doesn't often come in the flow of the offense, and sometimes he's a bit picky with which shots he takes, simply because maybe trying to keep that percentage up. The Knicks asked Alonzo to work on running off screens, spotting up, and being that kind of guy that can stretch the floor without needing the ball in his hands. It's important on this team, with the likes of Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, that Alonzo Trier can simply be someone that can get out there, stay on the perimeter, and knock down shots, as opposed to someone that's trying to set up the offense. But as we saw in preseason, there are times when you just need to let Zoe be Zoe.
What I want to see going into the season, we saw a glimpse during Summer League, yes, the infamous earthquake, is Lonzo coming off the bench and continue providing scoring. I would love to get him more involved, especially with RJ or, even him and Ntilikina. But coming into the next season, I feel like people are sleeping on Alonzo. He's not mentioned much, but I could tell he's going to have a much improved overall game, and he could be sixth man off the bench for us.
Now arriving, number 21, Damian Dotson. The 6'6", 25-year-old shooting guard out of Houston is entering his third year in the NBA. His career averages are 8.2 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. He is shooting 42% from the field, 36% from deep, and 74% from the line. This season, he has to show improvement in his off-ball defense. He can fall asleep at times, and he must continue to be capable of stretching the floor on a team that needs it badly.
The elder statesman of the Knicks' young core, Damian Dotson, showed his maturity and consistency last year when he's finally given the minutes and opportunity to show what he can do. Dotson, along with Frank Ntilikina, is one of the last remaining players from the Phil Jackson era, and so far he showed himself to be a good and consistent shooter and a good on-ball defender, though he gets lost off-ball more than he should at times. Dotson's rookie year consisted of him playing heavily in the G League, as Jeff Hornacek would just not give him minutes with the main team. Last year, however, he became a favorite of his and he was given a starting role. Things are set to change again this year for Dotson, as he'll likely find his playing time heavily reduced in year 3. He underwent shoulder surgery over the summer, which meant he couldn't shoot for a while, and though he's come back sooner than many thought he would, he's still now involved in a total logjam at the 2 position where minutes will be hard to come by. Dotson's heading into a pivotal year. He's a restricted free agent after this season, and there's no guarantee the Knicks match the other offers out there. One small thing we would love to see out of Dotson this year, an improvement in his rebounding. Dot's rookie year, he showed a lot of potential as a rebounder from the guard position, but as he got increased minutes, you didn't see him be as active as he was before. Fizdale really wants the Knicks to be a strong rebounding team, so let's see if Dot can show an uptick in that department.
What I like to see from Damian, I like to see him be a little bit more consistent with his game. I like for him to come into the game, bring that energy on defense, and continue to get better shooting the ball. When I think Damian Dotson, I think 3 and D. He's going to be in a lot of competition this year at the 2 and the 3 with a lot of guys vying for minutes. You got Frank, you got Alonzo Trier, you got the rookie RJ Barrett, and Wayne Ellington all vying for minutes. It's going to be interesting to see how the whole thing shakes out for minutes between those 4 or 5 guys. So basically for Damian Dotson, the key is to come into the game and just be a great, solid 3-and-D guy.
Now arriving, number 9, RJ Barrett. The 6'7" and 19-year-old shooting guard out of Duke is entering his first year in the NBA. In college, he averaged 22.6 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. His shooting percentages were 45% from the field, 31% from deep, and 67% from the line. This season, he has to work on his defense, his decision-making, and his perimeter shooting.
Rowan Barrett Jr. A few months on from the draft lottery disappointment, we're picking number 1.
Obviously, that didn't happen.
RJ has already won over even the most skeptical of Knicks fans. Sure, it's just preseason, and RJ still has to make it through a grueling 82-game schedule, but what we're seeing from RJ so far is certainly worth the excitement. In fact, let's keep it real. RJ Barrett is the most important draft pick by the New York Knicks since Patrick Ewing. Much, if not all, of the rebuild will fall at the feet of the Maple Mamba, but thankfully, RJ seems not just prepared, but excited at the prospect of leading the Knicks franchise back to its rightful place among the NBA elite. I don't love speaking in intangibles because there are certainly many holes to RJ's game, but the number 3 pick just boasts a mentality and level of focus that really separates him from his peers. There's an intense look on his face every time he's on the court, and you can see how much this means to him, and he understands his responsibility as a high draft pick. There was some talk in the fan base early as to whether or not RJ should be starting, and he's completely put that to bed this preseason. RJ's more than strong enough at this level. He's found getting to the rim easier than many predicted. He's a bit stiff, admittedly, and he's not an elite athlete, but he makes up for this with his strength and IQ overall. He has excellent touch on his passing and looks like he'll be an effective playmaker at this level. Even his defense has been a lot better than advertised. But above all, there's just this it factor to RJ and this aura that surrounds him. Earlier this week, I compared him to an 03 Dwayne Wade in the way the former Marquette guard put his stamp on the league and the Miami Heat early, letting them know we're an elite franchise even if I have to drag us there. RJ also seems to have Wade's bounce back ability. No matter how many times he gets knocked down, no matter how poorly he's playing, he's able to stay even keel and come back fighting just like the best do. RJ is completely unfazed. Last week in the preseason finale at the Garden, we got a taste of what RJ Barrett can truly bring to the New York Knicks. Without his buddy on the court, Zion Williamson, RJ took the stage over. He put on a show at MSG, he had the Garden on his feet, and a star was born. Let's hope this preseason has just been a mere preview of what's to come.
My expectations for RJ Barrett this season, I think he's going to average about 13 points a game, say 6 rebounds and maybe 4 assists. The key thing about RJ is, will he maintain a good shooting efficiency? We all know his shooting hasn't been the greatest, and free throw shooting also needs a lot of work. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well in Summer League, he was still aggressive at getting to the line, but can he convert at the charity stripe? So I'm going to be interested to see how RJ improves on his shooting. It's also going to be interesting to see what position will he fit best at. Is it going to be the 2? Is it going to be the 3? Is it going to be at the 1? We all know his passing prowess is pretty good, so let's see how that works out. But one thing's for sure, I'm definitely looking forward to the number 3 pick, RJ Barrett, lighting up MSG. Peace.
Now arriving, number 2, Wayne Ellington. The 6'5", 31-year-old shooting guard out of North Carolina is entering his 11th year in the NBA. His career averages are 8.2 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. He is shooting 41% from the field, 38% from deep, and 85% from the line. This season, above all, he has to continue to be an elite shooter from a distance. The Knicks need spacing badly, and that's why he's here, the man with the golden arm.
A journeyman vet that can launch it from deep, Wayne Ellington finds himself on a Knicks team where his skill set might make him an integral part of the rotation. The Knicks brought Ellington in with the hopes that his elite long-distance shooting can spread the floor for ball handlers like RJ and Randall, and the fans will be hoping he become the next fan favorite three-point shooter in the vein of Steve Novak. Now, Ellington isn't quite the shooter Novocaine was, but he does offer more than Steve did across the court. Ellington has spoken about a commitment to defense, picking up guards 94 feet and generally being a pest. We've seen a little bit of this in preseason, and we'd have to see that continue throughout the year. On offense, Ellington works for his shots. He sprints around screens with intensity like a modern-day Rip Hamilton. Watch Ellington closely the next time the Knicks play. He's one of the few guys running so hard off screens, creating havoc off ball and opening lanes for guys to get to the rim. Something you'd hope a lot of the other guards and wings can take note of. The Knicks have been behind the times from deep ever since the likes of Novak and J.R. Smith set the league on fire almost 6 years ago. Ellington would do well to follow in their footsteps, and let's just hope the man with the golden arm can propel Knicks basketball into the modern era.
With the Knicks prioritizing three-point shooting this past summer, they found a great option in Wayne Ellington. Despite being a 41% career shooter from the floor, Ellington has connected on 37% or more on his threes 6 of the last 7 years. Fortunately, he's just not a two-way player. Now, Ellington's accustomed to coming off the bench. However, on a Knicks team with Reggie Bullock injured and no clear-cut favorite, Ellington could crack the starting rotation as soon as day one. In fact, he could see himself starting potentially. Look for the Knicks to try to play Ellington as much as possible to see if they can move him in time for the deadline.
As always, thanks again for watching our video. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you'll know every time that we post a new video. And check out some of our other stuff.